This is the third video in the Chapter 1 test review. This is 1-3 properties of a number. This asks us to write an example for the following properties. Okay? You need to memorize your properties. There is no way around that fact. Okay? So, number 7. Number 7 gives us the additive identity. The additive identity follows this format. This is the rule for it. A plus 0 is equal to A, right? The identity refers to the same thing. Additive means add, okay? Here's the, by definition, that's what it is. But here it asks us to write an example. So let's just plug in some numbers, okay? Let's make a 5, okay? So 5 plus 0 has to equal to 5. Okay, that is by definition what the additive identity is. Good? Okay. Number 8, I think this is called the additive inverse. Okay? Alright, the additive inverse, by definition, is when A plus negative A is equal to 0, right? When we do the inverse, we create the identity element, right? The identity element for addition is 0. So we want to add in a way that we make 0. That's the only way. Okay, here let's do the example. Right? I can just use 5 again. Okay? A is equal to 5, so it has to be add 5 to get 0, right? Some people will write it like this, and this is okay too as well, okay? You can treat it as just a subtract 5, okay? Equals to 0, okay? Those would be both correct answers, but more likely this would be the best format for you to write the additive inverse for, okay? Number 9. Number 9 is the multiplicative identity. The multiplicative identity follows this format. Okay. A multiply, right? 1 over A will be equal to 1. Alright, that's just by definition. So multiplication times its division, right? We call it the flip, the reciprocal, will equal to 1. That is the identity. Oh, no, this is the inverse. I'm sorry. Multiply by 1, you get A. Okay, I was doing the inverse. Sorry. So this is the multiplicative identity. Okay, let's do that example. Okay. A is 5. So 5 times 1 will always get you 5. Right? That's the multiplicative identity. Okay, I was getting ahead of myself. 10. 10 is the multiplicative, okay, inverse. That one follows this format. Okay? A times 1 over A, okay, equals to 1. Okay? It's adding times its reciprocal, right? Its flip will equals to 1. So let's do that example. A can be 5. We multiply that by 1 over 5. Its flip, its reciprocal, that will also get us 1. Okay? Okay, these are all the answers here for you, okay, in red. Alright, so 11. Multiplicative property of 0. This means if I multiply anything by 0, it will get me 0. So A multiply by 0 will get me 0. Okay? Let me make that this color so you can see it. Now, let's do the example. Okay? Let's just substitute 5 in here for A. 5 times 0 is going to be equal to 0. That is called the multiplicative property of 0. Next one is number 12. Associated property of multiplication. Okay? Many of you had a difficult time with this property on the quiz, so let's really talk about it, right? Associated follows this format. Okay? It follows that A parentheses B, right, times C, close the parentheses, is equal to, I can move the parentheses, right? So it gets just A and B times C. Okay? Do you see how the parentheses moved? Okay? The way you want to think about it is right now B and C are associating in this parentheses, right? But when you associate, it moves. So now A and B are talking to each other, right? Now they're associate. Okay? Let's do the example for you. I'm going to make A 5, right? I'm going to make that a 5. I'm going to make BX, BX, and CY, and CY here. Boom, right? That is an example of the associate property, right? It's just the shifting of the parentheses sign. Okay. Next, 13. 13 is our commutative property, okay? The commutative property behaves the same thing as the associate, but there is no parentheses. Okay, let me repeat that. There is no parentheses in the commutative property. Okay, let me show you the example. A times B times C is equal to, right, C times A times, right, C B times A, or C A B. Okay, I just rearranged it, right? For example, okay, right here, I could even put the dot for you if that makes it better. Okay, good. All right, so A, let's just give it a value 5, right? 5. B, R, B, R, and C, how about 9? And C's 9, right? You see, no matter how you multiply, you will still get the same answer because we call that the commutative property, right? This is just a multiplication because I'm just going to do it in terms of multiplication here, okay? Next, our favorite one in class, it is our substitution property. Substitution property, right? It replaces, that's the word that we talk about, replace, okay? So, let me just give you the example, okay? Let's say I start with this, okay? X plus 1 times 2 equals to y, and I say x equals to 5, okay? For it to be substitute, I have to plug in 5 into x, so it should look like this, okay? Right? Because I replace the x with a 5, okay? Right? That verb of replace meets the substitution property. Good? 15. Distributive property. Okay? Many of you get the distributive property and the associative property confused. Okay? So let's really talk about it. Okay? The associate property, okay, is you're going to have an equation. You're going to have something out in front. Let's just call that A. Okay? And you're going to have a parentheses. Okay? Let's just make that B plus C. Close the parentheses. This is going to be equal to. You want to distribute A into B, so it becomes A times B plus, do you see the plus symbol here? Plus A times C. Do you see? It's not a rearrangement of the parentheses, right? It's a distributing of A, okay? A times B and A times C, okay? Well, let's see how it works in an example format. Let's just make A 5, right? So this is a 5, this is a 5. B, I'm going to make that X, and I'm going to make C Y. Okay, 5 times x, so 5 times x, and 5 times y, 5 times y. There you go. This is your example of the distributive property. Okay, good. This covers everything for 1-3 properties of a number.